Before we begin, tell me where in the world you're watching from. I'm Ryan, and I'm about to share the most devastating chapter of my life. The day my entire world collapsed started with a phone call from someone I trusted. Little did I know that call would expose a conspiracy so calculated, so cold, that it would make me question everything I thought I knew about the woman I married. I was 38 years old, living what most people would call the dream. I had built a successful career as a software architect at a mid-sized tech firm in Burnaby, British Columbia. My wife Amanda and I had been married for 12 years. We lived in a comfortable townhouse in Port Moody, drove reliable vehicles, and had built what I thought was a solid financial foundation together. Amanda worked in marketing for a healthcare company downtown. We were, by all appearances, a stable, happy couple, navigating their late 30s together. I'd always been the type to trust completely. Maybe that was my fatal flaw. When you love someone, when you build a life with them, you don't wake up every morning questioning their loyalty. You don't scrutinize every transaction, every late night at work, every girl's weekend away. That level of suspicion seemed exhausting, toxic even. I believed in giving people, especially the person you married, the benefit of the doubt. Amanda handled most of our day-to-day finances since I traveled frequently for work, and I never questioned it. Why would I? We were partners. We were supposed to be on the same team. The call came on a Tuesday morning in October. I was in my home office reviewing code when my phone buzzed. Lucas Chen, my financial advisor, but more importantly, one of my oldest friends from UBC. We'd been roommates in our second year, stayed close through the years. When I'd started making decent money, Lucas had helped me set up investment accounts, RSPs, TFSAs, all the financial planning you're supposed to do in your 30s. Ryan, hey, you got a minute? His voice sounded strained. Yeah, what's up? Everything okay? There was a pause. Actually, I need you to come to my office today. Can you make it by 2? Today? Lucas, I've got meetings until 4. Can't we just talk now? Another pause. This isn't a phone conversation, mate. It's important. Really important. Cancel your meetings. My stomach tightened. Lucas wasn't dramatic. If he said it was important enough to cancel meetings, something was seriously wrong. Is it my accounts? Did something happen with my investments? Just come by at 2. Trust me on this. I spent the next 3 hours distracted, barely registering the words in my video calls. What could be so urgent? Had there been some kind of fraud? Identity theft? By the time I pulled into the parking lot of Lucas's office building in Metrotown, my mind had run through a dozen scenarios, none of them good. Lucas's assistant showed me straight through to his office. He stood when I entered, closed the door behind me, and gestured to the chair across from his desk. His expression was grave. Okay, you're freaking me out, I said, trying to lighten the mood. What's going on? Lucas sat down heavily and pulled up something on his computer screen. 3 weeks ago, I was doing quarterly reviews. Your accounts came up, and something caught my eye. Some irregularities in the patterns. Irregularities? Withdrawals, transfers, all authorized, all legitimate from a technical standpoint, but the amounts and frequency didn't match your typical behavior. He turned the screen toward me. Ryan, in the past 18 months, $380,000 has been moved out of your joint savings account, your emergency fund, and your investment account. I stared at the screen, not comprehending. That's impossible. I would have noticed. The transfers were small enough to avoid triggering automatic alerts. 5,000 here, 8,000 there, sometimes just 2,000, spread out over 18 months, always from different accounts. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. He paused. Ryan, Amanda's the only other person with access to these accounts. The name hit me like cold water. No, there's got to be an explanation. Maybe she was moving money around, consolidating. I don't know. Maybe she's been making investments I don't know about. Lucas's expression was pained. I thought that too, so I checked. The money isn't in any other accounts under either of your names. It's gone, Ryan. Transferred to an account at a different bank, an account you're not on. My hands were shaking. You're saying my wife stole $400,000 from me? $380,000. But yes, that's what it looks like. He pulled out a folder. But that's not all. I did some more digging. Called in a favor with a buddy at Sun Life. Your life insurance policy was increased 14 months ago. from 500,000 to 2.5 million. The premiums are being paid from one of your accounts, but you didn't sign the paperwork. What? How is that even possible? Forged signature, most likely. Or she signed your name, scanned it, uploaded it. The insurance company doesn't always verify these things closely when the premiums are being paid consistently. Lucas leaned forward. Ryan, I need you to listen to me carefully. In 18 months, your wife has systematically drained nearly $400,000 from your accounts. She's taken out a massive life insurance policy on you without your knowledge. Do you understand what I'm saying? The room seemed to tilt. I gripped the armrests of my chair, trying to process what I was hearing. You think she's planning to kill me? I think you need to be very, very careful. And I think you need to act fast before more money disappears. He pushed the folder across his desk. I printed everything. Transaction records, dates, amounts, the insurance policy documents. Take this to a lawyer today, Ryan. Today, I drove home in a daze, Lucas's folder sitting heavy on the passenger seat. My mind was a war zone of denial and dawning horror. Amanda, my wife of 12 years, the woman who made me coffee every morning, who laughed at my terrible jokes, who'd held my hand through my father's funeral 3 years ago, that Amanda couldn't be capable of this. There had to be an explanation. But as I pulled into our driveway and saw her car wasn't there, I realized I needed to know for sure. I needed to see if there was anything else I'd missed, any other signs of betrayal hiding in plain sight. I went straight to our home office, to the filing cabinet where we kept our important documents. My hands trembled as I rifled through folders. Bank statements I'd never bothered to check carefully, credit card bills. And then, at the bottom of a folder labeled Insurance, I found it. The life insurance policy Lucas had mentioned. $2.5 million. The signature looked like mine, but I knew with absolute certainty I'd never signed it. Beneath that, I found something else. A folder labeled Travel Docs. Inside were printouts of flight confirmations. Amanda had been to Seattle 4 times in the past 6 months. She'd told me those were work conferences. But these were weekend trips, and the hotel reservations were for double occupancy. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Working late tonight, don't wait up for dinner. Love you. Love you. The words felt like acid. I sat there in the office until it got dark, the folder open in front of me, trying to decide what to do next. Every instinct screamed to confront her immediately, to demand answers. But Lucas's warning echoed in my head. If she was dangerous enough to steal nearly $400,000 and forge insurance documents, what would she do if she knew I'd discovered her plans? I called Lucas back. I need help. I need to know everything, and I need to do it without her knowing. I know someone, he said immediately. Private investigator, former RCMP, discreet and thorough. His name's Marcus Levesque. I'll send you his information. That night, when Amanda came home at 11, I was in bed pretending to be asleep. She slipped in beside me, and I had to force myself not to recoil. This woman, who smelled like her usual perfume and felt familiar beside me, was suddenly a complete stranger, a dangerous stranger. The next morning, I met Marcus Levesque at a coffee shop in New Westminster. He was in his mid-50s, graying hair, sharp eyes that seemed to see right through people. I showed him everything. Lucas's transaction records, the insurance policy, the flight confirmations. Marcus took notes methodically. How long you been married? 12 years. Together for 14. Any kids? No. We talked about it, but Amanda always said she wanted to wait until her career was more established. That establishment ever happen? She's been at the same position for 4 years now. Marcus nodded. The Seattle trips. You said she told you they were work conferences? That's what she said. I'll check that out first. Also going to run surveillance for a couple weeks. See what her daily patterns look like. These transfers to the other account. You want me to find out where that account is? Can you do that? I've got contacts. Might take a few days. He closed his notepad. Mr. Patterson, I've been doing this for 22 years. I've seen a lot of marriages fall apart. But what you're describing here, the systematic theft, the insurance policy, the secret trips, this isn't just an affair. This is planned, calculated. You need to be prepared for what I might find. I just need to know the truth. You'll get it. But Ryan, until we know what we're dealing with, you need to act normal around her. Can you do that? Could I? Could I sit across the breakfast table from Amanda, kiss her goodbye, ask about her day, all while knowing what I knew. It felt impossible. But what choice did I have? I'll do what I have to. The next 2 weeks were the worst of my life. Every morning, I woke up next to a woman who might be planning my murder. Every evening, I made small talk over dinner while screaming inside. I noticed things I'd never paid attention to before. How she always took her phone with her, even to the bathroom. How she was oddly insistent that I try this new vitamin supplement she'd bought. How she asked casual questions about my life insurance beneficiaries. I poured the vitamins down the toilet and told her I was taking them. I started checking my food and drink when she wasn't looking. I felt paranoid, crazy, but Lucas's warning wouldn't leave my head. Be very, very careful. Marcus called me 8 days after our meeting. Found the account. Royal Bank. Opened 19 months ago. In her name only. Current balance is $362,000. So she'd spent some of it already. On what? The Seattle trips weren't for work, Marcus continued. Her company doesn't even have offices in Seattle. She's been meeting someone, a guy named Connor Hayes. He's 34, personal trainer, originally from Ontario, lives in Seattle now, works at a gym called Peak Performance. A personal trainer. The cliché of it would have been funny if it wasn't destroying my life. How did they meet? Still working on that. But Ryan, there's more. I followed her yesterday. She met with a guy in Surrey, outside a pawn shop on King George. They talked for about 20 minutes. I got photos. He paused. The guy she met with. I ran his face. His name's Derek Morris. He's got a record. Assault, theft, drug possession. He did 4 years at Mountain Institution. My blood went cold. What would Amanda be doing meeting with someone like that? That's what I'm trying to find out. But Ryan, people with his background, they're usually not having friendly social calls. I need you to think carefully. Has Amanda shown any interest in your health lately? Asked about medications you're taking? Tried to get you to change your routine? The vitamins. The insistence that I try them. She bought me supplements. Wanted me to take them daily. Said they'd help with my energy levels. Do you still have them? I've been flushing them. Good. Don't take anything she gives you. I'm going to see what I can find out about this Derek character and what he might be providing for Amanda. I hung up, feeling sick. This wasn't just financial fraud and an affair anymore. This was something darker, something that put my life in immediate danger. That evening, I was in the garage, under the pretense of organizing, when I heard Amanda on the phone in the kitchen. The window was open, and her voice carried. No, he suspects nothing. Trust me, Connor. Everything's on track. A pause. I told you, by Christmas. That's the timeline. We just need to be patient a little longer. Another pause. The policy is active. The money's secure. And once it's done, we're free. Vancouver's getting old anyway. I can't wait to start over in Washington. I stood frozen, a box of old cables in my hands, listening to my wife plan my death as casually as if she were ordering groceries. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I lay in the dark, Amanda, breathing steadily beside me, and made my decision. I wasn't going to be a victim. I wasn't going to let her and this Connor destroy me and walk away with millions. But I also wasn't going to act rashly. I was going to beat them at their own game, using the law, using evidence, using everything I could gather to ensure they paid for what they were doing. The next morning, I called in sick to work and met with a lawyer. Jennifer Walsh specialized in family law and fraud cases. I showed her everything. Lucas's financial records, Marcus's investigation reports, the forged insurance policy. Jennifer's expression grew darker as she reviewed the documents. This is serious criminal activity. Fraud, forgery, possibly conspiracy to commit murder, if we can prove she's planning to harm you. She looked up. Have you gone to the police? Not yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Good. We need to do this strategically. First, we're filing for divorce immediately and requesting an emergency court order to freeze all joint accounts and assets. Second, we're documenting everything for criminal charges. Third, we're alerting the insurance company about the forged policy. She made notes rapidly. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? I don't think you should be in that house with her. I can stay with Lucas. Do it tonight. Don't tell her where you're going. Just leave. Jennifer's tone was firm. Ryan, if she's planning what we think she's planning, and if this Derek Morris is involved, every day you spend in that house is a risk. I nodded, my throat tight. By 6 p.m. that evening, I'd packed a bag and left it in my car at work. I drove home, knowing it might be the last time I'd walk through that door as Amanda's husband. She was in the living room, watching TV. "Hey, babe," she said, smiling at me like she hadn't been planning my murder. "How was work?" "Long day," I managed. "I'm going to grab a shower." While the water ran, I stood in the bathroom, staring at my reflection. This was it, the moment everything changed. I thought about confronting her, demanding to know why. Why betray me? Why steal from me? Why plan to kill me? But I knew the confrontation would come. Just not yet. Not until everything was in place. I came out of the bathroom, kissed Amanda on the forehead like always, told her I loved her one last time, and drove to Lucas's apartment. "You did the right thing," Lucas said, pouring me a whiskey. "You're safe here." The next morning, the legal machinery started moving. Jennifer filed the divorce papers and the emergency motion. By noon, all our joint accounts were frozen. By 3 p.m., the insurance company had been notified of the fraud. By 5 p.m., the RCMP had been contacted with all of Marcus's evidence. Amanda called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer any of them. Finally, at 6 p.m., she sent a text. "What the fuck is going on? Why are the accounts frozen? Call me now." I showed the text to Jennifer. "Don't respond," she advised. "Let her panic." 2 days later, Marcus called. The RCMP picked up Derek Morris. Turns out he's been selling pharmaceuticals on the side. When they searched his place, they found text messages between him and Amanda. She'd been buying arsenic from him, small amounts over several months. Arsenic. She'd been poisoning me. Those vitamins. How long had I been taking them before I got suspicious? I felt physically ill. "The police want to talk to you," Marcus continued. "They're building a case for conspiracy to commit murder." The next week was a blur of police interviews, legal meetings, and the slow unraveling of Amanda's entire scheme. The RCMP investigation revealed she'd met Connor Hayes 2 years ago at a fitness expo her company sponsored. The affair had started immediately. Within months, they'd begun planning. They'd open the account, slowly drain my money, increase the life insurance, make it look like I'd died of natural causes from some mysterious illness, and then disappear together to start a new life in Seattle with $2.5 million. Derek Morris, facing serious jail time, cooperated fully. He provided text messages showing Amanda had asked specifically for something untraceable that would look like natural causes. He'd sold her arsenic, disguised as supplements, for $2,000. The vitamins I'd been taking for 3 months before getting suspicious had contained small doses of arsenic. If I'd continued, I would likely have died within another few months from organ failure. The medical examiner confirmed I already had elevated arsenic levels in my blood, but not enough to cause permanent damage. She'd been killing me slowly, and I'd been thanking her for caring about my health. Connor Hayes was arrested in Seattle, attempting to board a flight to Costa Rica. In his possession was a laptop with detailed financial plans, property searches in Central America, and email chains with Amanda discussing their future together after my natural death. Amanda herself was arrested at her office. According to Marcus, who'd watched it happen, she'd screamed and cried, insisting it was all a misunderstanding, that Connor had manipulated her, that she'd never meant to hurt me. The evidence said otherwise. The trial took 8 months to get through the system. I had to relive every betrayal, every lie, every moment of discovering that the woman I loved had spent years plotting my murder for money. Amanda's defense tried to paint Connor as the mastermind, her as the victim of his manipulation. But the text messages, the financial records, the purchase of arsenic, all of it showed she'd been an equal and willing partner. In the end, Amanda was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, forgery, and attempted murder. She received 18 years in federal prison. Connor Hayes got 20 years. Derek Morris, for his cooperation, got 8 years for trafficking and conspiracy. I sat in the courtroom when the verdicts were read, watching Amanda cry as they led her away. I felt nothing. The woman I'd loved didn't exist. Maybe she never had. What I'd married was a performance, a carefully crafted illusion designed to give her access to my money and my life insurance policy. The divorce was finalized 3 months after the criminal trial. I got everything, obviously. The townhouse, the vehicles, what was left of our savings. The $362,000 she'd stolen was frozen and eventually returned to me through restitution orders. though I'll probably never see most of it. It's been 2 years now since Lucas made that phone call that saved my life. I sold the townhouse in Port Moody. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I bought a smaller place in Coquitlam, started fresh. I'm still at the same company, but I've thrown myself into my work in a way I never did before. It's easier than processing everything that happened. Lucas and I are closer than ever. He literally saved my life by paying attention to patterns in my accounts. Marcus Levesque became a friend too. We grab beers sometimes, and he tells me stories from his investigator days. These men, who had no obligation to help me, went above and beyond because it was the right thing to do. I've started dating again, cautiously. Trust doesn't come easy anymore. Every time I meet someone new, there's a voice in my head, questioning motives, looking for red flags, wondering if history will repeat itself. My therapist says that's normal, that it'll take time to rebuild my ability to trust. I'm working on it. I think a lot about the signs I missed, the way Amanda always handled the finances, her insistence on separate hobbies and friend groups, the girls' weekends that I now know were trips to Seattle, the subtle pushing for higher life insurance, the sudden interest in my health with those poison supplements. How had I been so blind? But I also learned I wasn't blind. I was trusting, which is different. Trust is necessary in a relationship. You can't build a life with someone while constantly suspecting them of betrayal. The problem wasn't that I trusted Amanda. The problem was that Amanda was a sociopath who saw me as a financial target rather than a human being. What happened to me could happen to anyone. Financial abuse is more common than people think. According to Statistics Canada, economic abuse occurs in up to 50% of abusive relationships. It's often the first step toward more serious crimes. If your partner is controlling your access to money, hiding financial information, or taking out accounts or policies in your name without your knowledge, those are red flags that shouldn't be ignored. If I could go back and tell myself one thing before all this happened, it would be this: verify. Trust your partner, yes, but verify the important things. Check your bank statements regularly. Know where your money is going. Understand what insurance policies exist in your name. Don't hand over complete financial control to anyone, no matter how much you love them. And if something feels wrong, if someone you trust says they've noticed something concerning, listen to them. Lucas saved my life because he paid attention and cared enough to tell me uncomfortable truths. If he'd stayed silent, thinking it wasn't his business or that he might be wrong, I'd be dead right now. I've also learned the value of real friendship. Lucas, Marcus, Jennifer, they all went out of their way to help me when I was at my most vulnerable. They didn't have to. They could have walked away, told me it wasn't their problem, but they didn't. That's the kind of people you want in your life. The ones who show up when things are hard, not just when things are easy. Last month, Amanda sent me a letter from prison. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. It was full of apologies, explanations, justifications. She'd been in a dark place. Connor had pressured her. She never meant for things to go that far. She still loved me, had always loved me. I read it once, then put it through the shredder. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed forever. I'm 39 now. I have a job I'm good at, friends I trust, and a life that's mine again. It's not the life I expected to have at this age. I thought I'd be married still, maybe with kids, building toward retirement with a partner. Instead, I'm starting over, building something new from the rubble of what Amanda destroyed. But I'm alive. That's not nothing. I'm alive, and I'm free, and the people who tried to kill me are behind bars where they belong. Some days that feels like enough. Some days it feels like victory. To anyone watching this who's experiencing something similar, who feels like something's off in their relationship but can't quite put their finger on it, trust that instinct. Check your finances. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to look suspicious or paranoid. It's your life and your financial security. You have every right to protect both. And to the people like Lucas, who notice things and speak up, even when it's uncomfortable, thank you. You're the reason people like me are still here to tell our stories. You're the reason evil doesn't always win. Never underestimate the power of paying attention and caring enough to get involved. This is my story. It's not the one I wanted to tell, but it's the one I lived. And maybe, just maybe, it'll help someone else recognize the signs before it's too late. Because that's what I've learned from all of this. Knowledge is protection. Awareness is survival. And sometimes the people trying to destroy you are the ones sleeping right beside you. Stay safe out there. Check your accounts. Trust your instincts. And remember, you deserve a partner who's building a future with you, not planning your death.